design software. So we will walk through the functions of how to cut out your own images using Corel Photo Paint, and then how to add those cutout objects to your favorites folder within the EARTHSCAPES application. So we'll get started, and whether you are working with Corel Designer, Corel Photo Paint 12, or Corel Photo Paint X4, both applications will work for this process. So we'll first begin by using the Corel Photo Paint platform. So you have Corel Photo Paint X4 or Corel Photo Paint 12 open on your computer. You'll see we currently do not have an image. We do not have a photo open within Corel Photo Paint. To do so, you'll go to File and Open, and we'll navigate to the location of where you've saved your particular photo. Now this could be My Pictures, it could be a shared network drive, this could be a removable device such as a USB, removable disk, or this could be a CD, or directly off of your camera. But we're going to locate that image that we like to work with. So I'm going to choose an agave. And the image will open for you, and you'll see that we do have a straight-on picture that includes the entire structure, the entire habit of our object. For this example, we are looking at the agave. So I want to make sure when I take my before picture, when I take my original photo of the agave, I get straight on. I want to see the entire habit, the entire structure of this agave as a straight-on picture. Keep in mind when you take your own digital photos that you're going to want to use this object as a drag-and-drop element in Corel Photo Paint when you create your designs. So it makes sense to take the photo straight on. Now, most often we don't have the ability to take a digital picture with a clean background. So if you can somehow get a contrasting background for your custom image. For example, here, the agave has a nice contrasting background of the rocks. A lot of my customers down in Florida and some of the other southern regions, you can capture your unique plants with a blue sky, blue background. So you can really get the intricacy of a palm or a different type of grass with that blue sky background. But if worst case scenario you cannot get to that extreme contrast, by all means, take a piece of cardboard, take a white sheet, lay it behind the object you wish to cut out. That's just going to make your job a lot easier when you get to this step. But we'll share with you the tools that really it does make for a very efficient process of cutting out your own objects using the Corel Photo Paint program. So again, we're back to our screen. We see the entire habit of our object. Now this could be a plant or it could be a structure. We'll run through the steps and the functions of how to cut out more of a hardscape element, more of a structure here in a moment. But with this object on our screen, we first want to use our masking tools. So we'll go to the left vertical toolbar and we'll locate our masking tools. Typically it's the second button down from the top. And within the mask flyout menu, you'll notice that you have your rectangle, your circles, your freehand mask, and there's some other choices as well. We first want to click on the freehand mask tool. There's a keyboard shortcut, the letter K, but we'll just click on freehand mask. You'll notice that my cursor does change into a crosshair, and we'll bring our cursor down. I'm going to start at the bottom of this agave. I left-click once. When I left-click once, you'll notice that I have a string attached to my cursor. So no matter what direction I move, I still have that string. So I'm just going to move slightly upward and to the left. Place another left-click, which will be a sticky point. So we just left-click on the outside of our agave. So I just move around the outside of the agave, really creating a general outline around this particular object. So you'll notice that I just created a kind of an ellipse, just a circular type outline around my agave. Once we have masked off the area, the region that includes the object that we'd like to cut out, we've masked off this area. I now want to copy the selected area. So we've masked around our object, and our mask line includes all of the object. I haven't cut any detail, or I haven't cut off any portion of this object. And here's a good learning lesson. If by chance you're using that freehand mask tool, and you can see on my screen now, if you accidentally left-click and you've initiated a second mask, just simply double-click. And what you'll do is you can double-click to end that mask, and if necessary, you should always use the undo button to reverse that last operation. But let's go back up to Object, Create, Copy Selection. So we have our masked area. We went to Object, Create, Copy Selection. And Copy Selection was highlighted when I had that active mask line. Now that I've selected the object, Copy Selection has turned it into gray. And the other indication that our masked area has now been turned into an object is that I do have a blue and white moving line around my object. A third indication that something has happened with that mask line is if we move our attention over to the right-hand side of the screen. This is your Docker window. You have your background, which is the original photo of that agave, as well as a new object that appears on top. The Docker window is a very useful tool when we're cutting out our own objects. We have our background, we have the new object that has been created, and cutting out your own objects, the goal is to remove or delete the background. So let's go over to the right-hand side within our Docker window, select background. You'll see you don't have any active lines on your photo. When you select background, press delete. And that will bring us back to that cutout shape, that ellipse shape that we just created with our mask. And we turn that mask area into its own object. At this point, we still need to cut out the background that still remains. So this is more of the precision. And we'll go over to our mask tools. Again, this is located on the left of vertical toolbar. Not the rectangle, not the ellipse, not the freehand mask, but what we would like to select is the magic wand. The magic wand mask tool does have a keyboard shortcut as the letter W. So let's go ahead and click on the magic wand tool. We'll change the mode for our mask. As a standard default, the mode for your mask is just a normal mode, which when you select an area to mask off and then you go to select another area, it's going to activate and deactivate those masked regions as you go. And I'll show you an example here. For your normal mask mode, if I left-click once on an area, then I left-click again, it doesn't combine those areas. It changes. You'll see one area does not stay selected as you select another area. A more efficient approach when using the magic wand tool is the additive mode. If we navigate to our horizontal toolbar area, we see our mode, we see the normal mode, we see an additive mode for mask operations, as well as a subtractive mode for mask operations. Click on the additive mode, bring your cursor back to your page, and when you left-click on the background areas of your photo, you'll notice that it collectively adds those masked areas or those outside areas together. So it just continues to add and add and add. Now this is the additive mask mode. So we can left-click as we go. And the way that this is working, the way that the magic wand tool works, it's based upon color tolerancy. So it is very beneficial to have your contrast colors. So we have the color of the agave. It is contrasting with the background color of that red rock. And magic wand tool allows for us to change the tolerance of what that magic wand tool is picking up. And you can increase this tolerance or you can decrease the tolerance. I have found to be very successful with a tolerance of 10. But if you find that the magic wand tool is just picking up way too much color, and for example, let's say we had a mistake and I left click on the agave and I've selected a portion of this agave, we can always use the undo button and that reverses the last operation. So once we've mapped off an area and we have what we think is a nice outline to our agave, we can then go to the scissors, which is located on the horizontal toolbar, to cut that selection away. So we click on the scissors and you'll see that the background is quickly removed from our photo. To further clean up, let's make use of our zoom tool. So let's use that zoom tool, which is the magnifying glass. It's located on the left vertical toolbar. I'm going to zoom in on an area of my agave. We're going to go back to that magic wand. We're going to left click, left click, left click. Oh, again, if too much of our agave was selected, we'll just use that undo button to reverse that color that was selected. Another function that you can use, and of course you left click as you go, you can use your scissors to cut those areas away. Another function that you can use or make use of is the eraser tool. So the eraser tool allows for you to change the brush shape and the size for that eraser function. I would suggest when you are erasing, use the solid shapes. Do not use these gray translucent edge shapes. The reason being is because they're going to leave pixels. They're going to leave some of that pixel litter on your screen. But if we use the solid shapes, this allows for you to sneak right into that agave, left click, and anywhere that you have your eraser on your screen, you left click and you drag. It allows for you to erase away any of those pixels, any of that leftover area that's still on your cutout image. So we really can clean up this photo quite exactly and really make a definitive cutout object. So we'll just continue, and you can change the shape and the size of your eraser tool to accommodate your object. And again, you can zoom in as far as you want. So let me just show you that technique. If we use our zoom tool once again, and I zoom in on an area, such as this little nook within the agave, we go back into our eraser tool, and we can modify and erase even further. You can change this eraser tool even smaller, so if you want it to get done even a little bit deeper. Now, keep in mind as well that once we zoom out, some of this detailed area is not even in the show. You're going to drag and drop this agave onto a before picture of a house, and you're not going to see any sort of leftover pixels if by chance you had some that were remaining. Let's just go back out to a full screen. Let's see what else we have to work with. And I'm just going to erase away a few more areas. Of course, we'll make that eraser tool a little bit larger. Erase, erase, erase. Okay, now that we have an object that's cut out, it appears on transparency, which is the checkbox, the checkboard pattern that appears around our object. We have to save this cutout object, and we need to save it as a PSD file format. So let's go up to File. Let's go down to Save As. And we can choose our desktop, or you can choose any location on your computer. And I would suggest maybe even save your cutout object in a network drive or another location on your computer so you can back up these images. If you are going to take the time to cut out and create a custom library, you very well should back up these objects because it does take you some time to create a custom library. So I'm just going to type in my agave, and I'm going to say agave blue. Most importantly is the save as type, which is the PSD file. And we'll click on Save. So now we know that our object, our cutout object, has been saved as a PSD file. The other point I would like to share prior to going and adding this object to our library is let's just confirm the size of our object. Many times when you go out and you take a digital photo of a property or of an object, a plant, a design feature, your camera is taking a picture of such great resolution that it's at a physical size of 24 inches by 36 inches, which is just too big. So we want to make sure that our object is sized appropriately before we add it to our library. To do so, let's go up to our top menu bar area where we see the File Edit View. So let's go File Edit View, let's select Image, down to Resample. And right now you'll see that I have an image size of 15 by 10. Really, this is still pretty big. I would suggest, and we have suggested in our manual, that objects should be within a few inches. Trees should be no greater than 5 inches. Your perennials really should be no greater than an inch by an inch. If you do want to ensure a high resolution, let's say we're working on a very detailed project, we want to maintain a resolution, you can go larger than that, but I would not suggest going any larger than, say, a 5-inch photo. So for this particular agave, let's just go ahead and bring the size down to 3 inches. Once I place my height of 3 inches, or my width, I apologize, the width is 3 inches, the height is automatically adjusted, and then we can click on OK. So you only have to adjust one of the dimensions. The other dimension, so if we adjust the height, if we adjust the width, the height is automatically adjusted to maintain the aspect ratio. And you want to do this so it does not distort your object, it will not stretch it or skew it. So let's go ahead and click on OK. You'll notice that your image does become a little bit smaller, but it hasn't lost the quality of that object. You'll notice once we have saved it, so let's go to File and Save that new size of our object. And the next step is to add this object to our library. So let's open up the EARTHSCAPES program. Let's go to the Photo Imaging Project. And within the ES library, select Favorite. And we're going to add our agave blue to our favorites folder. So we have our favorites folder selected. We click on Create New Item in the library. So we click on the button for Create New Item in the library. This allows us to navigate to a location on our computer or to a shared drive. So I'm going to navigate to my desktop. That's where I saved my agave blue. Here's my agave blue. And I click on Open. And you'll see immediately that the agave blue now appears in the favorites folder. So let's just go ahead and give this agave blue a test. If I have a before picture, so I'm just going to open up a picture. So with the design picture open, I can then drag and drop my agave onto the screen. You'll see, even though we have resized this down to a 3-inch by 2-inch size, it drags and drops appropriately onto our before picture, and it does allow for us to resize further, or we can resize to make smaller or larger and place our object according to the design that we'd like to create. In addition, we can walk through the steps again. And instead of working with a plant, we'll now work with a hardscape element. This could be an example of what you can do with the EARTHSCAPES program. So perhaps a customer wants to see an outdoor fireplace. We can go online and using Google or Bing or your favorite search engine, well, we can type in outdoor fireplace to generate some ideas of what we could work with and use. Now within Google or Bing, you can click on the images, and this will pull up images of different fireplaces that are available for you to work with and use. So let's just go ahead and refresh the outdoor fireplaces. We'll click on images. And you can navigate, you can look. If you find one that you like, click on that item. Once this item appears, we right-click on that photo. We go to Copy. We're going to navigate back down to the Corel Photo Paint program, which is open, but it's just minimized in my taskbar. So I click on Corel Photo Paint. I then go to File, New from Clipboard. So we've copied that picture of the fireplace. We then go to New from Clipboard. We have the fireplace that appears within the Corel Photo Paint program. So we just copied it from that Bing search engine with a right click. We went to File, New from Clipboard, and here's that image. It now appears within our Corel Photo Paint program. To cut out this object, there's a couple steps that we can do. We can use that same magic wand tool, or better yet, maybe we just use the freehand mask to mask around more of these straight line edges that this hardscape element has to offer. So what I will do first, I'm just going to zoom in to get a little bit tighter shot of what we're working with. We'll go back to our masking tools. Using the freehand mask, I can left click as I go. You can also use the freehand mask to left click and hold. And what that will do is it will allow for you to drag and really open up that mask area as needed. I'm just going to left click on the outside edges of this fireplace. I'm just going to left click and trace, or really create that outline for this fireplace. Double click when I'm finished. So you'll see that I do have a pretty close outline of this fireplace. We're going to copy that selected area, just like we did for our agave example. So we went to Object, Create, Copy Selection. There is a keyboard shortcut if you need it. And you'll notice that that black and white mask line has now turned into a blue and white mask line. So we've copied that area using our darker window to instantly see that an object has been created. And you'll see that we have our background, which is our original photo, plus we have the object that sits on top. The goal is to get rid of backgrounds. We select that background, press Delete, and you'll see that I have a nice cutout fireplace. If you find that you have a little bit more of the background that was included, we can use that magnifying glass to zoom in, use our eraser tools. Now, a circle is really not going to help keep that straight edge. So let's change our shape to a solid square. And then using the eraser tool, we can left click and we can drag and we can make some modifications and really clean up some of that extra background part of the photo that was left over. Let's use our zoom level box in our horizontal toolbar and select to fit, and that brings us back up to a full screen. We're going to save this cutout image as a PSD file, so let's go to File, Save As, and again, I'm just going to save this cutout image to my desktop just for convenience sake, but certainly go ahead and feel free to save yours to your pictures or to a shared drive. We have outdoor fireplace. And it's saved as a PSD file. I click on Save. Before I exit out of the screen, I want to check the size. So let's go to Image and Resample. And this size is 8 inches by 6 inches. I don't think it needs to be that big. So let's just bring down our image to 5 inches. And click OK. Once we have changed the size of our object, we'll just do a File and a Final Save. And to add this fireplace to our Favorites folder, we'll go back to the EARTHSCAPES program. So EARTHSCAPES is within your Task Manager. Click on the Photo Imaging Project. You'll see that the ES Library opens. And we'll navigate to our Favorites folder. Click on the Create New Item in the Library. So click on that button. This allows for us to navigate to the location of where we saved our fireplace to. And I saved my fireplace to the desktop. And we just navigate to the outdoor fireplace PSD file that we created. Click on Open, and immediately you'll see that your outdoor fireplace now sits within the Favorites folder. To try out this fireplace, we'll just drag and drop, and immediately you'll see that this is an object that can be placed on this design. Again, we can resize up or resize down and position this object as needed. So I hope that really sheds some light on how you can customize and create a favorites folder within the EARTHSCAPES software. Feel free to check out the EARTHSCAPES user forum that's available at www.myearthscapes.com. There's a lot of great tips available for you to print out and use as a resource. And thank you for your time today. If you have further questions, you can give our office a call or send technical support and email. We'll be happy to answer those questions. Have a great day, and we look forward to working with you soon. Bye-bye.